Show. Always Irish. Show. Always Irish. Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back. It's great to be back. I feel like my life's out of sorts. I miss a few of these shows. We missed the weekend shows. I just feel out of sorts. I'm really happy to be back. Let's get back into our routine here. Welcome back in after a little break edition of the Always Irish Morning Show. It really is good to be back. I missed the routine and just the camaraderie, and I know every other day we're going to connect. I miss it. Let me know what Notre Dame thoughts rattled into your brain over the weekend that we weren't here to talk about. It's odd to miss this long. I feel like I'm missing something in my life, like I dropped the ball, being gone and out of the mix for a few days. But it was a needed break, an important holiday. Hopefully everybody took a minute to realize what the holiday's about, more than just you barbecuing and drinking by the pool. So it's great to be back, folks. Thank you for being here. As always, you can find the program. It says, how was Louisville? It was good, but it wasn't hot. It got cold in Illinois, and then we drove there, and then the cold kind of followed us. It was not really that warm. Didn't stop us from having a good time, but it wasn't like that summer Memorial Day heat. We didn't have any of that. That cold front that hit us, we drove with it and followed it down. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on. You know why. That way you're alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Email is alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can give me the call-in line. 312-988-15. Dr. John coming up first. I got you. I want to catch up with you, Dr. John. Fighting Irish Wire. Tune in. Read it. Type in Irish Wire on Google. Favorite it. Boom. You don't even have to type it in. Favorite it. Articles about all Notre Dame sports all the time. First things first. Got to mention it. Congrats to the men's lacrosse team winning a championship over the weekend. Light up that number one on Grace Hall, baby. It's great to see. I love to see it. Great job by those guys. I just wish it was football. Like, I'm totally thrilled, but you all know what I mean. When you see a Notre Dame team win a championship, you're like, man, I love that. That's awesome. Let's get one in football too. Damn it. Like, give it to me. Congratulations to them. That was fantastic. I've been seeing on Twitter all the stuff that's been coming out about that. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Why am I Mr. Big Ten now in the chat? Is that a thing that I'm in love with the Big Ten? All I'm saying is, if you had to join a conference, the Big Ten's a good deal. That's all I'm saying. If you had to do it to compete, what the Big Ten could offer you would be a pretty good second choice. And I think that that's pretty logical and fair. I prefer that we do it independent, keep winning, do it our way. I don't know if that's feasible in the modern era anymore or not, or what's going on. I'm just saying, if you had to do it, that wouldn't be a bad second thing. I'm just saying. Okay, it's not my first choice, but if you had to do it and you get a raise and a bunch of rivalry games every other week, that's not awful. Okay, especially with USC there. So that's the first thing. Congratulations to lacrosse. I want to get into a couple notes of things that may or may not have come out over the weekend that I wrote down when I was gone. I'm going to make sure I hit that. Then we're going to bring John up, and then we'll get into the roll call and some of the chats. But I want to mention this stuff before we get into it too far. One is 4-star corner Beasley, a Tennessee commit, visiting Notre Dame for the Ohio State game. I believe it's the Ohio State game. That's a guy they want to flip. That's a guy they've been hot and heavy on trying to flip. Whatever, go for it. Like, I don't know what else to say with the recruiting and all that, and guys that are interested or they're not interested or what's going to happen. It's impossible to know with Notre Dame recruiting more than ever now with everything in the mix and everything that goes on with that. So that would be a big one. Obviously, if you have them coming for Ohio State, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Better be a fun, good environment. Get that win. Make that place rocking like it was for Clemson. And we go from there. So I know Notre Dame, this has been a priority for Notre Dame to work on this guy. They've been working on him. So that's good news. And then also, I would like to know what you make of Notre Dame picking up the Penn State running back, Devin Ford. And a couple things come to mind. I know. Yeah, see Dirty Mike asking what the deal is with the new running back from Penn State. A couple things crossed my mind here. Number one is depth after Diggs, obviously. After Diggs left, and then you move Tyree out of that room. Okay, so maybe it's a little bit of depth there. But here's the other part of this that I don't like. And I don't know this for sure, but it's where my mind goes when I think of this. What I think of is this an indication that Price's rehab is going slower or not as good as they want? Coming off the injury he had in the spring, the year before. And that's a worry to me because when Blue and Gold came out, I remember there were questions about his availability. How's the rehab coming? And then I heard maybe he was making some cuts, but they didn't want him to do too much. And so that's in my mind that a part of this might be in response to them not liking where that rehab is at. And I don't know that for sure. It's just me making an inference based on what I'm seeing. Otherwise, I don't know if you do that. I don't know. So that's in my mind. I don't know anything for sure. And then I'm going to bring this up. And Caleb Williams bugs me. He bugs me. It's the ultimate USC fit. His ego is the only guy in college football whose ego is probably bigger than Brian Kelly's. I don't like the kid. I don't like the kid at all. He's really good. And none of my arguments are going to say he's not any good. It's how you carry yourself. And I don't like the way the kid carries himself, and I don't like the way the guy talks. He's good, and he won the fancy trophy last year. And I give him credit for his play, but the way he talks, it rubs me the wrong way. He was interviewed, and they were asking about, like, what if an NFL team tanks, to get in position to get you? And the guy says, it isn't any surprise to me at all that a bunch of teams would tank to be able to line up and get me. That doesn't surprise me at all. I don't like the arrogance. Then he says he wants to re-up on the Heisman and win a championship and then go number one. And he's not surprised at all that all these teams would be tanking to get him. And they quoted some anonymous scout in this article that said that this guy's a refined Patrick Mahomes. A refined Patrick Mahomes already? I don't like it, all right? It's the perfect USC fit. A guy with this big of a head and this cocky and this arrogant, and he backed it up on the field against us last year. I don't like it. I don't like it. And you know what? I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to. Yeah, I do. Let's not joke around. I do want to be this guy. I'm going to have a real huge problem with Notre Dame and our captains and our leaders and our team, if this guy has the balls to come into Notre Dame Stadium wearing his pretty little fancy colored fingernails that say FUCKND again, if he tries that again in our house, it's a little different if you're going to do it up in LA and it's Hollywood and you're putting on a show and all that. If that guy does that here, if he has the balls to say, I'm painting my fingernails with that, and I'm coming to Notre Dame with that in their house, there needs to be a physical altercation. There just does. I'm not trying to be that guy. There needs to be a physical altercation at that point. If he's going to do that and wear it in our house, there needs to be a problem. And you need to create it and let the guy know this ain't happening. There needs to be a physical situation at that point. I'm not letting that guy do that. Not in our place. You want to do it at home and then you back it up with your play? That's a little different. I'm going to have a real problem. Not with him, because this is just who he is. This is just who he is. I ain't going to have a problem with that. He's not our guy. I'm going to have a problem with our guys allowing it in our house. So I'm just putting that out there. But the arrogance, I get it. You won the Heisman and you're good and you're making money and you're playing in Hollywood and life's great. Good for you. Good for you. I'm happy for you. But if that guy does that in our house, I expect some resistance. And it's really going to send the wrong message to me if Notre Dame's captainship or leadership of the team or whatever, if they're okay with that in our building, I'm going to have a real problem. Not with him, with our guys. So I'm waiting to see if he does it again. But I don't like this guy's ego. It's second to none other than Brian Kelly to me. And he is good, but it's the way you carry yourself. Not humble at all. Like nothing, man. Nothing. Like there's no humble. There's no any of that. It's full on arrogance all the time. The full USC way. Surfs up, dude. Surfs up, bro. So if that happens in our place, I want a physical response to it. I'm sorry. There's some things there's some things you just can't allow in your own building, and that's one of them. It is. And in the old days, I don't think you think the 88 team would have let another quarterback, a USC quarterback, come in there and do that and not push back, physically push back. I don't think so. I don't like some of this. It's almost turning into like golf where everybody's too much buddies. And you're supposed to be beating each other, but everybody's kind of cool with everybody and buddies. I need some rivalries, damn it. I need some people that hate the other people. Golf's this big buddy club in the PGA now, other than the live PGA stuff. But on the tour, those guys act like they're all best friends. They're supposed to be beating each other's brains in out there. I'm going to have a problem with it. Look at this $10 holler. Thanks a lot, Adam. I appreciate it, buddy. If our defense isn't fired up to hit Williams over and over again, I'm going to lose me mind. I'm going to lose me mind too, Adam. I'm already doing it. I don't like the arrogance. I didn't like it from Kelly. I don't like it from this guy. But the way he's talking, it doesn't surprise me at all that a bunch of teams would tank to get me. Good for you. If he wears the fingernails, I want a Miami 88 tunnel situation again. You can't allow it in our house. You can't. All right? You just can't do it. You can't do it, and you can't allow it. So those are a couple of my notes. Yeah, I know, Adam, but it just was funny. It was funnier to say it me. I love that. So let me know what you guys think. I don't know what you think about the Beasley thing. I know they've been after him. It's not even, listen, you want to know what I think? It isn't going to make you feel warm and fuzzy. Here's what I think. Even the guys that are committed to Notre Dame, I have no faith they're going to end up at Notre Dame. All right? So a guy that's committed somewhere else, I definitely don't have faith they're going to end up at Notre Dame. It's hard enough to keep the guys that are already committed to you. without me worrying about that. So I hope that it happens, but I ain't banking on it, just out of my own experience, okay? So anything you guys think about any of these topics would be fine. The USC thing just rubs me the wrong way. I like people with a little humility and guys that know they're good and are humble about it. The way this guy, it's the perfect LA fit. Him going to USC was so perfect. Check all the boxes. Check all the boxes. Look, Adam's on a roll now. Now he's mad. I got him going. A $5 howler. Thanks, Adam. Don't allow it in our house. It's going to bug me. It's just going to bug me. Let's go to the phones. Dr. John, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
John, I missed you.
Going outside with a cup of coffee.
I missed you. I missed you and I missed the group, man. What did I miss? Did you have a good Memorial Day?
I did. I watched a lot of lacrosse.
Yep. That's fantastic, man. I love seeing that number one light up. That's for sure.
Oh, man. I tell you what, there was a play against Duke, against Chris Kavanaugh.
Yep.
His helmet came flying off. When they showed the replay, I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, if it would have been football, like, the kid would have been gone. I mean, it was just a blatant helmet to helmet. So.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't have that in lacrosse.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about lacrosse to know all the details of it and all the strategy and all that. I do know it's awesome to get a bunch of coverage for one of our teams winning it all. And anytime I see that Grace Hall number one lit up, it makes me smile.
Well, I've always kind of been interested in it, but this my lady friend down in Arizona, her son is the coach at Hofstra. And for those who may have seen the national championship game, and I think that against Virginia too, the gray-haired guy that was doing color is her brother-in-law. He just retired as the coach at Denver. He won a couple national championships at Princeton, and I think at least one at Denver. So.
Wow.
Anyway, so I got a little more interested in lacrosse. But.
Yeah. John, let me ask you this. Any Notre Dame thoughts come to you over the long weekend? I tried to disconnect. I was out of my routine. I was traveling, wasn't on Twitter all weekend, and and some things bounced into my mind. Anything over kind of a casual weekend in the summer here that popped up to you as football-wise that's been on your mind?
Well, what's been on my mind, I told you on Friday I was going to hold your feet to the fire today. What's on my mind is when we were talking about recruiting, and you used the words, I know there's under-the-table stuff going on. And there's a difference between knowing and believing. You got any evidence of that? And if you do, I want you to go to the district attorney right now.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, do you think that all that is going on legit though? Like you hear all the backstories and you hear all the rumors and the timing, you put together the timing on these. The timing, I think, is what gets me sometimes, because it makes no sense otherwise of why like certain things would happen at certain times other than that. And again, I do get, John, I'm going to give you this on your side of this argument. I'll say this. I got these coaches that get up there in these press conferences, and certain coaches will complain about tampering or illegal NIL pay for play. Head coaches get up there and talk about this stuff. I think they should be the ones that have to name names then. Like more than I should have to. The coaches that are in press conferences saying this stuff's going on and dirty, they should be the ones that have to name the names. They're the coaches, and they're getting up there saying it. If it's that big of a deal and it offends a coach, they should want the name out there and tell them to go investigate them. They should know more than I do. I want a press member to say to them, when a guy says that, go, well, then name names then, and then they'll go investigate it. But I think at that level, they default to like, you're one of us, and they kind of protect the circle. But I want that to happen. But there's no doubt in my mind it's been doing illegal. You think that Bush push run with Pete Carroll was all straight A students and no money? It came out afterwards what they were doing. They were paying everybody. Houses, cars, money before NIL. We know that's what they've been doing there.
Well, now you mentioned one of my favorite coaches.
Who's that? Poodle Boy?
Carroll.
What, you're a fan?
I say that very facetiously.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you a fan of this clown? Everywhere he goes, as soon as it gets hot, he hits the door before the crap hits the fan. It's actually a pretty smart move at USC. He got out of there right when all the sanctions were coming. He got out of Dodge. It's beautiful what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He brings out the evil in me.
Yeah, well, and
I used to like the Seahawks. Till he showed up.
Yeah, and I don't know, John. It's just, what I've been saying when I wrote about. I did an article. I don't know if it posted yet, and I was talking about the losses at the top end of our recruiting class last year. What a big gut punch that was for Notre Dame fans. And in that article, I defaulted to, they didn't end up here for various unknown reasons. Like, I tried to default to something more neutral. But we can't be naive here, man. The tampering goes on every minute of every day. Notre Dame probably did some of it with Hartman. I'm not acting like we're above the fray. But it's just, it's going on, and it's going on. I don't have a spy file here of me showing everything, but there's no other reason it makes sense, a lot of the things that happen other than that. Every angle points there. Every arrow points there.
Well, I certainly believe it's going on, and going back to when these coaches at press conferences say something, I agree with you. Hey, if you're making the claim,
you should
lay it on the table.
Yeah, that's the one. John, I'm an idiot in my basement. I could say whatever with little to no, real world effect nationally. That's the one I have problems with, is those coaches. Narduzzi does it all the time because he's a whining crybaby. He popped into my mind right away, getting up there complaining about this stuff. That's when a press corps member needs to say, well, if you're that mad about it, give me the names. What schools? And I don't know why that doesn't happen. If you're going to go that far, how far are you willing to go?
Well, and that's a case where they better have some evidence, because if they make a real hard claim, they're going to get a defamation suit if they can't, put the goods on the table.
Yeah, and some of this is, I don't think the powers that be want to know all of it either. I think there's some protection in naivete of not wanting to know all of this, because, there's stuff out all the time about long-standing systems. Some of these schools had to clean up the money and where it comes in and out, like old school stuff that's been known forever of how they do it. And it's not getting looked at. So I don't know. And I don't want to cry I don't want to sit here and just cry about it, but you got to acknowledge, I don't think Notre Dame's playing by the same rules as a lot of these schools. And I don't know how that's hard to navigate, but that's my overall point. It's obvious to me we're not playing by the same rule book.
Well, I like to think that too. I like to think we're a little bit more above board than some of these other schools. But then again, I don't have any hard evidence to prove a doggone thing.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Mr. Ford.
Okay. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm not sure, because they had a very good running back this year, an underclassman, right? I can't think of his name, but I looked at Ford's stats, and he he got a ton of carries his first 2 years, but the last 2 years was zilch.
Yeah, and I
So
mean,
I don't know. They say he was a return specialist, but
and it makes me wonder. My very first thought, John, was it worries me that Price's rehab is behind where they want it to be. And that's a red flag. Like that hasn't come out. But I remember not hearing a lot around blue and gold. Is he doing activity? Where's his recovery at? It occurred to me that with Diggs gone and then Tyree moved over to wide receiver, that they feel like they need another something there. And maybe Price isn't fully back where they want him to be. And that would not be ideal. However, I mean, if you have the space for this guy, go for it, I guess. I don't know. Like, who am I to push back on that? Like, I don't have a strong. Some people push back on this. What are you doing? I makes sense what you're doing to me. I get it.
well, and the thing is, this may be a kid who is after an advanced degree, and Notre Dame's the place to get it. And by the way, I can play some football too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he's got a full scholarship or partial or what, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
So,
I don't know what the deal is with that, but they obviously wanted a little bit of depth there. And I mean, I have no problem with it. So, whatever. It's John, the thing is, here's where I was at over the weekend. I just feel like there's always this summer college football anxiety every fan base has. Like, you want football, you get through spring, so you get your little teaser there and your little fix. And then we get into summer, and then I see it on social media, on Twitter too, because my circle's all the college football stuff. I think people just start going stir crazy, and you want answers to questions you're not going to get till August and September. And then fan bases start like going at each other and then like over analyzing their own situation to an unhealthy level, which I'm sure I do here every day. But it's like, I feel like there's that anxiety, and I feel like it's even more intensified for Notre Dame this year because I just think it's a big year in a lot of ways. And I just feel that's a little more intense this year of us wanting answers and to know what this is going to look like. And do you feel that too? There's always some of it, but I feel like it's ramped up for us this year.
well, I'm with you on that. I feel that way too. And I suppose it's because, okay, now we've got a roster that's a little more Freeman's. We brought in some guys to help us out. I'm thinking of the kid from Rhode Island. So and of course, since I'm going to Ireland, you know, that even ramped it up more for me. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I did see that game isn't going to be like the 9 a.m. start it was here in 2012. I think it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. So that'll be a different dynamic too, because that game was at, I think, 9 a.m. Central Time when we had Navy, 2012, I believe. So it'll be, what'll that make it, a night game over there then for you? You have all day to get around town, John. You have all day to get in trouble. Don't get locked up in no Irish jail here, getting in a pub fight before the game, John. Behave yourself.
Well, that's already caused a problem in our group. When I passed the word that it was a 7:30 start, my brother Jim, who's going with us, he said, "Oh no, I'll be in my cups by then." So I'm going to have to babysit him, I think.
Yeah, well, that's going to be great. And did you read the number? They estimated just under 40,000 people are going over there for on Notre Dame's behalf. That's going to be a big trip, and you're all going to find each other and then, be able to identify the Notre Dame people. It's going to be a great trip, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it should be fun. And that stadium only holds 50-some thousand. So
yeah,
we should have it packed pretty good. When I was at the game in 2012, I actually got my tickets through Navy. So we were sitting right in the middle of the Navy crew. Of course, it was their home game that year.
Yeah, there you go. But at least, all right, I'll say this. If you had to be in that situation to play any team, it may as well be Navy, because at least you respect them and what they stand for. And that, you know what I mean? Like, I could deal with that.
Well, like I say, I root for Navy because I was Navy.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense.
I did 3 years in the Navy, so
yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna let somebody that knows something talk to you for a while. You're always getting on me about me moving around. Well, at 5 a.m. Tomorrow morning, I leave for Minnesota. So.
Man, you are a moving target. I'm serious. I think you're on the lam from the mob or something, and you got to keep moving. And when the heat gets on you, you move to a different state. Don't think I skipped over where you said, oh, my lady friend, and here you got one in each state. What are we working with, John? You live an exciting life, buddy. You live an exciting life. I'm telling you.
Well, the reason I got to make this Minnesota trip is I went into the post office 2 days ago, and there was a new poster hanging up in there, and the rendering, the drawing looked an awful lot like me. So
yeah, you got to keep a low profile. Keep a low profile, John. But hey, it's been good touching base with you, buddy. I missed being around here, and I missed the show. So good to have you back. Okay, and I'll check in online on chat on Friday morning from Minnesota. Beautiful, my friend. Safe travels as always. Okay. Thank you, sir. See ya. Get 'em. Have a good one. Yep. Oh, it's nice touching base with him. All right, let's get back. I didn't even do the chats yet. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Matt Miller, morning. John and Always Irish Nation, 87 days till we kick this thing off. Can't wait for the season to be here. I'm telling you, there's just something about this summer in particular where we got to get this clock rolling. It's extra anxiety. And some of it is like, I don't know why it's so extra. It almost feels to me like I'm mad about a lot of what happened last year, and I'm excited for another chance to be able to clean the slate or like have something different in our minds after last year. I don't know. There's just extra anxiety to see how this is all going to work out. And I'm sure some of it has to do with the schedule as well. And like how many premier opportunities there are for Notre Dame on this schedule. And I just want to get there. Pat, morning, John, Always Irish fam. Happy Wednesday. Almost into June. Blink and the 4th of July will be here. Fall camp's quickly approaching. I tell people all the time, that is my demarcation point is 4th of July. I sit there, I look at people shooting off a bottle rocket, blowing off their digits, and I know, even in that hot, humid Illinois 4th of July air, I know football's around the corner. That's always it. It's like a few more weeks, and then we get into August, and then we're back, baby. And then we build and build and build and build, and then it's Ireland. How perfect is that? Damn, Johnny, going to be a scorcher today. Dude, I love the heat. I welcome the heat. I live in Illinois. We don't get enough heat. I'll give me the heat. I'd rather have the heat than anything else. Mikey Poles, morning, John. Gotta know, are we wearing the green for Central Michigan, or do I bust out the old 90s champion blue jersey? Well, now, wait a second, Mikey. Hold on. Hold on, buddy. Here's the issue I have. You're my security. You got to make sure. I don't know what you're wearing. Do you need like a big a bulletproof vest, or what are we doing here? You're supposed to be the security at this tailgate event. So I just need to make sure you have full mobility. Don't wear nothing that's going to hold you back from body slamming somebody that's getting rowdy at the tailgate. Oh, man. Crying Belly is here. I really missed you, Crying Belly, for sure. He says, typical Brian Kelly, sup, John? I love you, bro. And then the very next thing out of his mouth is, John always makes sure to mention he doesn't care about X's and O's. We can tell, bro. I see what you did there. A lot of people take a lot of little little liberties with the things I say. And I say them in a very, very specific way. But I've noticed people like to take what I say, do some linguistic tricks, and kind of change it up. And it's in the same idea of what I said. And then they think it's just going to fly by under the radar. At no point in the existence of this program, 7 years now, have I said I don't care about X's and O's. What I have said is openly, I am not an X's and O's expert. That is not an area of mine that I feel I have extra knowledge on or are super qualified to break down. I certainly care about them. I certainly understand they are what makes the whole sport go round. But I'm self-aware enough to not get up here and act like I know all the benefits of this and that and this package and that package of this guy's responsibility in this play. That is not an area of expertise of mine. And I'm not going to sit here and talk to you guys like it is. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm at least real enough to know my limitations. And me breaking down X's and O's defense is not a strength of mine. I'm not going to act like it is. That's all. Bob Kelly, probably Brian's dad. What do we got here? Crying belly, Bob Kelly. What's with all the belly Kellys? Unbelievable. Good morning, John. I can no longer wear my New Balance sneakers to cut grass. Go Irish. Pound USC in 136 days. I understand that people that have a countdown till the regular season, the countdown to the USC game really intrigues me. I like that a lot. Like, it makes sense to have that countdown leading up to the beginning of the year, but everyone that runs all the way in past Ohio State right to USC, I love that, Bob, but that's personal to me. I don't want to get into it, but we're getting back into it. It's personal to me. The whole USC thing is, it isn't just football. It's not a gridiron situation. It is a life situation. It is just that what those people value and how they live their lives and their day-to-day values and what they prioritize and how they view the world and life and how to act and how to treat people. I disagree with all of it. That's my problem. We're philosophically, diametrically opposed in every way, in every value system, the way you do things, the way, all of it, man. And it's just so important that our way prevails and you don't let the superficial way those people exist and live win the day, man. It's just that simple. It's not just, oh, they beat us last year and Caleb Williams is really good. And it's like, oh, they beat us in football. No, I sit there and I look at it. And the reason I get mad is it's telling me their way's working better than ours. And it falsely proves that theirs is the way to do it. And it's the right way to do it. And I disagree with that. And it just upsets me. It's always going to upset me. Here he is taking a shot at me. This next year will be a big picture existential calibration year of our Notre Dame minds that will set us on track for 8-4 next year with the redshirt freshman at QB. Couple things here. Number one is this proves that you listen a lot, and I do appreciate that. Talking about the existentialism and the calibration, I talk about that all the time. So I do appreciate your loyalty because that does prove that you're around all the time. But the interesting part of this, other than taking a shot at my intelligence and how I run my program, if we ignore those things and just look at the actual meat of the tweet here, whatever you want to call this, the chat, it's the redshirt freshman at QB part of this. So crying, I'm going to ignore you taking a shot at how I run my program, but I am going to focus on that redshirt freshman part. Is that what it's going to be? Do we know that? Is that what it's going to be? If Buckner was back, that's a totally different dynamic. But with him gone, how are they going to want to do this? And does it depend on how far along they think CJ Carr is? Where is Minchie and his development in this mix? Where does he fall in that? So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. And does Notre Dame have an appetite to go find yet another grad transfer quarterback situation? That would be what? The third one in like 5 years, 4 or 5 years. You would have Cone, you have Hartman, and you have this. That is a super interesting dynamic. Obviously, it's very interesting whatever's going to happen with Hartman and him being healthy is the number one priority for the whole year. Everything else is below that. But that's the big question. What is Notre Dame's appetite to go down that grad transfer quarterback route again versus giving a year two Minchie a shot at the starting job off a redshirt, or Carr comes in? I think, wouldn't the best dynamic be if Carr's just undeniable? I'm not saying there wouldn't be growing pains and freshman stuff. I know there would be. But is the best long-term outcome not that he just shows up, and whether you have a grad transfer guy or not, Carr he's just undeniable, and that you say he gives us the best chance, and we know we're just going to have to deal with some freshman mistakes. That is probably the number one storyline for 2024, other than the new playoff era. I mean, that would be the biggest story is the new playoff dynamic. But that's a big, big question I have, is how they want to set that up. And the other issue is, if they want to do something with another grad quarterback, it ain't going to be Sam Hartman. Like, I think it's a pretty rare set of circumstances that Notre Dame ended up with the oddest quarterback name in the portal. And so that's another part of this, the level of those quarterbacks. And do you know what level guy you're going to get? And how much better is he going to be than Minchie Carr? I don't know. But that is going to be definitely the number one storyline to watch for next year. So, you know, you did take a shot at me, but you did bring up a good point eventually. Nick Dean, good to see you, Nick. Morning and welcome back. Congrats to the lacrosse team. Championships, baby. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Deb Thomas, good morning, everybody from Ott, Florida. Yeah, I bet you it's getting real warm down there this time of the year. Crying Belly, bro, mad at Ari Heestand and not Marcus Freeman. I haven't written or said anything about Harry in like months, since like a very, very long time. So I don't know about that. I don't remember saying anything. I know it wasn't recent. Usually I can remember all the things that make me mad. I can forget everything else, but I'll remember everything that pisses me off. That's how my brain works. Phil, good morning. Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. Yep, I hope everybody relaxed and had a good, relaxing weekend. This is interesting. Phil says, do we get the big announcement today, John? Phil, I'm glad you remembered that I mentioned that on the way out. So here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to have to cut this show short. Unfortunately, on the day I come back, we're going to have to cut this show short because I got to hop in the car, drive over that state line to Indiana, and finalize some details on a deal I got going on that I will soon announce to all of you that I'm super excited about. And it's a new angle of what I'm trying to grow some of this show into. And we're going to wrap up the details, have a little lunch meeting today, and then I'll have some announcements for you guys. And I think some of you are going to like it, and I think some of you are going to want to be a part of it. So stay tuned for that. How's that for a little teaser? A little teaser with the crowd pleaser. Oh, boy. Look at Jay. Good morning from Cabo. Jay, listen, Jay, I love you. I sing your praises all the time of what a nice guy you are on Twitter and how genuine you are. You're a loyal guy to this show. I don't expect you to watch this show while you're in Cabo. I wouldn't want to wake up in Cabo and to John yelling at me either, even if I love Notre Dame. So I really appreciate the loyalty, but I mean it. don't feel obligated to deal with me while you are on vacation, okay? Like, don't feel obligated. You don't have to. You don't have to. Brian Denbo, good to see you. Always Irish Senior, what's up, Pops? Good to see you too. Angela and Andrew, good to see you. There we go. We got the whole group here. Dirty Mike, that's right. Welcome in, welcome back. That's what I always say, Dirty Mike. I appreciate it. I think it's Dirty Mike. Yeah, M1K3. I'm calling you Dirty Mike. I think that's what you're going for. Not me. Morning to all. What's going on? Jacob Brown. Yo, that's right. How was Louisville? Hey, good. Traffic wasn't too bad on 65. That's always the big concern and the nightmare when you get down there. It just wasn't warm. We had a beautiful pool and all that. It just wasn't warm. We followed the cold front, but we saw a lot of family we don't usually see. There was a death in the family on this side. So a part of this was kind of a follow-up. We're still thinking of. You see, my cousins lost their mom recently, and it was just a good time to get down there and see them with those vibes and make sure we could be with family, stick together through a rough time. And I'm glad we did it. Glad we did it. Look at this. Yeah, I bet you had a good old Big Ten time. I don't know why I'm getting killed on the Big Ten stuff. Is it because I wrote that article last week called Notre Dame Loves Independence, but at what cost? These are just things we have to confront. These are just things we have to confront. It's a modern reality. And I'm not acting like I have all the answers, but I have a lot of questions. Like, I don't have all the answers. I do bring up a lot of questions we need to think about, though. I would prefer Notre Dame stays independent, makes good money, that keeps us, up there where we could spend like the other teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. And I want us to keep doing that, win a championship our way in the modern playoff stuff. That's what I want to happen. Is that feasible or not? I don't know. It's my job to look at all angles. And I'm telling you, personally, not my number one choice. If we had to join a conference, I'd rather it be the Big Ten than the ACC. If we had to join full-time, like aside from the TV problems and reasons you wouldn't want to jump in and sign up for that, just the teams you play, the vibe, the everything. Give me the Big Ten if we have to do this. If we have to do it. Maybe we won't have to. Don't worry about it. Why you got to rain on my lacrosse parade? I'm not raining on your lacrosse parade, but nobody could tell me when you see one of our other teams celebrating that you wish it was football. It's not saying like, I wish they didn't win it. It's just saying seeing a Notre Dame team celebrate that level of success is getting pretty close to like seeing Notre Dame football do it. I just want it. Can I get it once in my life? Once in my life, celebrate some Notre Dame football at an elite level? Is that too much? Nick Dean, I think the lacrosse team will show the football team how to do it. Yeah, I hope so. I think that all those years at the Notre Dame home games where we were bad, we weren't winning nothing. Charlie Weiss has us at like 500. And every 8-minute NBC timeout, they're bringing out another Notre Dame team that won a championship, and we're saluting them. And it's this team, it's that team, it's the old football guys coming back. It's this sport, that sport. Everything except for the one those 87,000 people are there for. It call me a glass half empty. It always bugs me. It's just like, it's like a reminder in your face. We're good at a lot of other stuff, not the one you care about the most. And I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling. Paris Thompson, thanks for being here. We definitely need a championship in football. I think it's coming very soon. You do. This year or in the new playoff era, you got Notre Dame ripping off a string of about 4 wins in a row. I love it. Sharky 61. Bring on the Big Ten and bring on the big money. Bring on the big money. Yeah, and I know they have, people were saying, John, they got issues with the back end of their TV deal too. They were all mad. There was like $70 million that had to be redistributed at the back end of that deal, that they didn't know where the money was going, or teams had to put in money for a TV contract for split games on different networks, something. And I had people go, John, are you sure about the Big Ten? Looks like they're having some issues there too. Yeah, but it's still, no matter what issues they're having with on the back end of that, it's not the ACC. Like, that's just a bad deal. And you're locked in it for a very, very long time. Those are different animals. So whatever the Big Ten has to work through with the back end of those financials, I think it's going to be okay. And I wouldn't have any, worries about that. I just wouldn't. I got you, 773, coming right up. Jay Lehman, contention in the Lehman family as my wife is a Tennessee grad. Yeah, that's fine. She could be a Tennessee grad and understand why we need Beasley to come over from there and leave there. And I hope she doesn't have to listen to me on this vacation the way you're choosing to. Adam Dowling, but you love his nails, John. Look at that witches. Look at them witch digits with the little painting thing. You're making me mad all over again, Adam. Just showing me that stupid picture there. Or whatever you want to call it. A GIF or a meme or a emoji. Whatever. Let's get to this. That's interesting. Yeah, Jay, and he'll fail in the NFL like Manziel. They were calling him an unnamed source called him a refined Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Wow. Like, that's high praise, man. That is high praise. What do we got here? Could the bagpipes the lacrosse team uses as they come onto the field be something Coach Freeman brings out for the Ohio State game? The stadium would go nuts. That's actually pretty cool. I think the stadium would go nuts. You would have to find a way to magnify the sound, put a portable speaker in there, microphone or something. So if they came out with that, it would echo or whatever. I don't know how you do it. Figure it out. I actually like that. I like that. I know where A. Sortino's mind is. Look at this. I need a dub over OSU. Tell me about it, man. It is just for so many different practical short-term and long-term realities. It's a big one. It is a big one on both sides in a lot of ways. Big picture, small picture, fans, for the coaches, for recruiting, for what next year's going to be, setting the tone, all of it. All of it. Just a big deal. Man, Pat, you got a fan somewhere. It says put Cotter on screen so somebody's ready for you after we return. $5 holler, don't allow it in our house. We already hit that one. I agree with it. Antoine Johnson, lose me mind. That was funny to me. I don't know why it was, but it was. Look at this. $10 holler from the Fender Bender. That's an awesome logo, by the way. I love that. You the man, John. Always good to purge some USC hate at work on a hump day. You the man, John. Always good to purge that USC hate. If I'm a conduit for that, I would happy to do it. Look at this, $5 holler from Adam. Saban's crying at the SEC meetings that Bama isn't doing NIL and they don't have the money to do it anyways. You know what? I got it. 773, special guest. Hang in there 1 minute, please. Don't leave. Here's what Saban was saying yesterday I saw on Twitter, and it all makes sense to me. Here's my theory on all this. Saban did not like behind the scenes when NIL became legal, because it means one of the things they were great at behind the scenes, now everybody can do more legally. And it spread out the power he used to have over that kind of game, if you're following my drift. So I don't think he liked that for that reason. But he knows it's the way it's going, and you can't be Alabama's coach and say you're against that, and that's not going to fly. But I know he doesn't like it because it's infringing legally on what the operation Alabama's had going on for a long time down there to get guys, right? Then yesterday, Saban comes out and he starts saying, I really think the players should look into unionizing and they should just do it that way. And then there's like set benefits and pay. And I think they should consider unionizing. Saban actually said that. My first thought was, of course he's saying that. Because even if it happens, by the time it does, he's going to be retired and it's not going to affect him at all. Like, you got to be smart enough to look at the angles when coaches do and say things. Saban knows that sounds good and appeals to players to say that. But I don't think he means it. And I think he knows his time's about up. And if that happens, he's not going to have to navigate it or deal with any of that. The players having more control and say in what's going on, he ain't going to have to deal with it. So that's why he's saying that now, because he doesn't plan on being around for it. It's really easy to see. Really easy to see. All right, we're getting caught up. We got another $5 holler from Paul Conley. Good morning, John the Great. I guess I'm living in the past, and I watched on YouTube Ronald Reagan greet the 88 national champs. That's not Ronald Reagan, Paul. That's the Gipper. Get it right. That was not Ronald Reagan. That was the Gip himself, reincarnated from Newt Rockne All-American. Wasn't that amazing? Think about that. That you got that guy and what he meant in American politics, honoring the 88 champs. And he was also the actor that played the Gip in Newt Rockne All-America. That's absolutely amazing. Like, to me, that's just an amazing sequence of events that it all timed out that way. Brian has a very good point. John, first time in a long time we are excited about the quarterback room. Absolutely. Would be a lot more excited about it if it had Buckner as a number 2. But beggars can't be choosers, and it is what it is. I'm excited about the future of it. In the short term for next year, I have anxiety because if Hartman goes down, it's time all over again. Just like last year, and ain't nobody here for that. I'm not here for that again. All right? Oh, boy. Come on. You guys are getting ridiculous. Look at this. The Ohio podcast. The countdown we have going on is the countdown for when John Kennedy's live on the Ohio podcast. That's the real countdown. I'm willing to do it, and we talked about it. I'll come on there. I would love to have this talk, and I would love to talk to the Ohio guys about where Ryan Day is in terms of with the fans, the administration, and in his own mind. I want to know if Ryan Day's getting sick of feeling like he's accomplishing a lot, but it's not enough at Ohio State. You know, you're looking at 2 losses against Michigan, maybe going 3 in a row. You can't live that way at Ohio State. You can't do that. So I would love to break all that down with the Ohio podcast. I did a Clemson guest spot yesterday, and I talked with one of those guys. It's always great doing that. I love joining other fans of other teams that do this, but they're not jerks and they're fair about what they ask, and it's not just a hit piece to get me on there. I like that kind of stuff. I'll always do that. Going to be a breakout year for Freeman's program, says Tim B. I heard that over half the defense is now graduated, so the class load is much lighter. Plus Sammy, the Heisman Artman. That's beautiful. I like it. Ooh, that's got a nice ring to it. Sammy, the Heisman Artman. I like that. I like that. We got another $20 holler. Put this in your Azure account for having to put up with the mouth-breathing trolls. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is funny. Dirty Mike, that's really funny. I said I had to cut the show early to get to Indiana. He says, breaking news, always Irish signing a deal with Purdue. Yeah, it's going to be always Boilermaker, and the backdrop's just going to be an 80-foot drum, and I'm going to sit there and bang it like an idiot all day. That's exactly what we're going to do. Newt, Rock, Knee. John, we would have much better matchups in the Big Ten now that USC and UCLA have joined. ND joins, Oregon is in. That is one nice conference. Man, that would be very well-rounded. Think about what you would hit if you add that as your conference, man. You'd have the LA market covered. Then you have the Northwest if you have Oregon. Then you have all the Midwest cluster that we're a part of. And then you have the Northeast stuff too. I mean, that is coast to coast. The only thing you could say is we're not getting down south. But man, that is the week-to-week games at that point would be awesome. Just awesome. I would love that as a backup. Not as my number one. I would love that as a backup. All right, we're caught up. Here we go. It's been a while, Pat. What's going on, buddy?
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Just trying to get back in the mix, Pat. It throws me off being out of my routine a few days, out of town. I'm just trying to get tied back to reality here.
Yeah, I hear you. Me too. It was a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed your time in Louisville.
Yeah, it was, extended Kennedy family. So, you get a little bit of everything when that's the dynamic.
Cool. I'm assuming no Andrew with the new baby though, right?
No, we're going to go there in a few weeks. So we were going to let them have a month or so to get the kids situated. We're going to go there. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks. So that'll be our first time down to see him.
Okay, cool. So you're talking about the Big Ten deal and their TV contract.
Yeah.
The reason that's all screwed up is the guy who's now in charge of the Chicago Bears. So the first thing is the Big Ten network is partially owned by Fox Sports. So Fox is saying, hey, what's going on here? We own this. You guys can't just give away these TV rights. We still get a cut of this. And so they're saying that money is going to go into the NBC deal. That's not even that financial figure is not even figured out yet. The other part is the Big Ten championship game. When they started that, Fox holds the broadcasting rights to that. And the guy that's now with the Bears, I can't remember his name, but he was the Big Ten commissioner. He promised NBC that game, and that's where the $70 million comes from. And so now all these teams, they're saying they're going to get all this money, and now they have to pay it all back to Fox because the Big Ten, they weren't negotiating a very good deal with NBC, or they weren't reviewing their existing contracts. So this deal isn't signed yet, and I don't know what you're hearing, but I've heard some rumors, and again, they're rumors. I don't know what's true or not, that this deal may fall through because the price tag is so high, the economy is so bad, advertising dollars are harder to get to, and like ESPN is on shaky ground with the ACC deal, and a lot of these networks are thinking they could start to renegotiate a lower price tag.
Interesting. And so where does that all leave Notre Dame in this? Do they have do they have a window to just be able to chill and see what happens and then make their move based on how the chips fall?
I think that's their only play.
Yeah.
I think that's their only play. I mean, I think the most likely thing is that the Big Ten deal does get signed, and these teams take a little bit of haircut, so they're not making $90 million; they're going to make like $75 million. It's interesting with just kind of the way everything's. They got to get this deal signed soon because it's. We're a couple months away from this season. They got to get their broadcast booths in line. They got to get all this stuff done. And so this is getting close. But
now, doesn't Notre Dame have a different time frame window because they're you know what I mean? Their deal's a different year. So doesn't Notre Dame have time, or did they have to do something too before the year?
Notre Dame has. I think Notre Dame has all the time in the world.
That's what I was thinking. And so I think they should be in a position to be able to sit back, look at all the chips fall, and then have contingencies if this is the way it goes here, then here's our path. And if this goes, here's a path, right? Like, I don't know how else you would sit there and look at this.
What is the contract for Notre Dame up with NBC? I thought that was a 10-year deal. I think that goes through the end of not this year, but next year.
I believe so. I think 24 is the last year of it. So 24. To me, that gives Notre Dame.
That's what your time frame is.
Right. So then that gives you more time. But I don't know. And the other thing, people are already giving them NBC and the Big Ten a hard time. Their week 2 primetime game on NBC's Maryland and Charlotte. I can't wait for that barn burner on the big NBC screen. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's very interesting how all this is shaking out. Was it CBS? Doesn't someone else have a share of this, like a small share where they're going to get some of the Big Ten games? I thought there was another network involved.
Dude, this stuff's getting complicated. A part of me misses that old CBS intro and everything Notre Dame used to have. You remember that for some of those games? Oh, man, just the intros. They don't do those anymore. Like the just around the corner from Main Street. Like, I don't think that was CBS, but like, where's somebody building me up one of them romantic intros, getting me all worked up in a lather before the game? Give me that.
What great games have you had at Notre Dame that would have called for it? You had 05, you had Georgia. I mean,
I know.
Cincinnati.
When I was going to say, when the barn burner Cincinnati rolled into town, that was the one, Pat. Yeah, that had to be it.
Yeah, you're really worried about Main Street. And who's Main Street? South Bend or Cincinnati?
Yeah.
So no, it's just this whole TV deal stuff. It's getting very interesting. And I really think it just puts Notre Dame in a stronger position because, look, if these schools don't get the money that they thought they were going to get, if the Big Ten's they're not getting $90 million, but they're getting $75 million, that makes it easier for Notre Dame to get the number they want because it's just so much closer. So I definitely feel like this is all playing out for Notre Dame well. They just got to sit back and relax. And the one thing I get worried about is that the shifting landscape makes them do something before they fully see it out. And
that would be the mistake.
That's never been Swabrick's thing. He's never jumped the gun on anything. Sometimes I feel like he may have been too slow to react. But he's definitely never jumped the gun on anything. So hopefully they'll be all right.
Yeah. The Ohio podcast says Maryland versus Charlotte greater than ND versus Tennessee State. Here's the issue. Nobody
I would disagree with that.
But
it's not a great game. But
here's the thing. Of all those 4 teams listed, there's only one anyone cares about, and it's Notre Dame. Yeah, nobody cares about Maryland. No one cares about Charlotte. And Tennessee State is what they are. Like, you could argue the game might be close or whatever, but there's only one of those teams anybody in America wants to see, either to win or lose. And it's none of those 3.
I have no idea.
It's none of those 3.
I keep forgetting I keep forgetting the team Notre Dame's actually playing that week. I just know they're coached by Eddie George. That's it. That's all I know.
Yeah. That's it.
I cannot remember the name of the school.
Yeah, that's it. But I'm not saying that that's a great game. I'm saying in terms of teams people want to see for one reason or another, it ain't Maryland, it ain't Charlotte.
Right, exactly. You're going to get 2 very regional schools where you're going to get 20,000 or maybe 100,000 people from each region to watch versus Notre Dame, where you're going to get 2 million people from around the country.
It's just a big
still garbage.
It's a big difference. But when I start seeing it promoted on NBC, it just gets my attention. I'm just not used to it, and then
I don't even think I'm so mad at Notre Dame for scheduling that game. I don't even know if I can watch it. It goes against everything that Notre Dame is supposed to be about as far as competition on the field. And they have just removed themselves from a category. Then they left USC as the only school in the country that can say they've never played a Division II school.
I used to really hold on to that too. That was one of my big go-to things. And I used to always reference it when we're discussing the playoff and how many games you played and you play. I always used to go to that, and I can't. And then the next thing, Pat, is I had a lot of people tell me, well, then that Tennessee State game is going to be the one that they're going to make you watch on Peacock. Right away, I said, no, it's not. No, it's
No,
not
it's
because
not,
the
because-
angle they're building this on, they're
Yep.
going to want
It's
on
all about the
NBC, and it's going to
historical
be.
Black college
Yep.
coming into Notre Dame Stadium.
Yep.
They want eyeballs on that one.
Yep.
So I knew from the very beginning
and
it
it isn't,
was always going to be Central Michigan.
Pat, it's not just that. It's the Eddie George and the Ohio State thing and Marcus Freeman and Eddie George as the coaches. Like, they are going to build this whole NBC angle up, is going to be all of that. So that game was never going to be the Peacock game. It's going to be the one we're at, so I don't care if it's on Peacock. Beautiful. I love it.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't going to bother us. It isn't going to bother us.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's not going to bother us.
I hope that Tennessee State game is during my Ryder Cup. I'll play golf.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
Pat,
I don't think I can watch that game.
Pat, I think Shepkowski's going to try and come for the tailgate too. So he wants to be a part of it and see some of that. And so
cool.
I think we're going to have a big, good group and a lot of help and a lot of people ready to have fun. So I'm already looking forward to it.
You got to tell him to invite his sister, right? And I don't mean that in any negative way. I worked with her. She's awesome. She was a Notre Dame. She's a Notre Dame grad. And she's a Notre Dame cheerleader. Super cool, super smart lady. I had a lot of fun when I worked with her.
That's awesome, man. I will mention that to him. So that should be fun. Anything else, Pat? I was just thinking over the weekend, we seem extra worked up as a Notre Dame fan base. People want answers to questions they can't get answers to. There's a lot riding on year 2, and people want more data on Freeman in another year. I feel that. We're always wound tight this time of year, but I feel there's a little extra juice. People are worked up, man. They want answers.
Are they, or do you just live in a sphere where you get all the people who are just super juiced about this at you all the time?
But here, that's a very, very astute observation to suggest. But here's the evidence on the other side, though, Pat. I see it on Twitter a lot. And you could argue that that's an ecosystem where I'm in it only with the people that are in that mind frame. But it isn't just on YouTube, but like on Twitter even. Our own people kind of spin themselves in a circle and go at each other. And it's just like some people are convinced this is going to be a disaster next year. And other people are convinced we might go to the playoff and have a Heisman guy. I don't know what the truth is.
I don't know what the truth is. My belief is it lies somewhere there in the middle. Yeah. I don't think that'll be a disaster by any means.
Yeah.
But I think the playoff is out of reach for Notre Dame this year. If it was an expanded playoff, I think Notre Dame would have an outside shot. But I just don't know if this team is there yet. But again, I don't know what he has on defense. I just do not know what this defense is going to look like.
Yeah.
And until we see that defense come on the field against Ohio State, not Navy, not Central Michigan, not Tennessee State. It's until you see that defense come on the field against Ohio State, I don't know what you're going to have. I know from a offensive perspective, I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring points. They may have a problem, they'll probably be averaging like 40 points a game going into Ohio State. They're probably not going to score 40 points on Ohio State.
Right.
Hopefully they'll probably score less, but hopefully it's enough to win. But you're also playing better competition.
Yeah.
But I think as long as the quarterback, like a lot, I keep hearing references that as long as Hartman doesn't get hurt, did he ever get hurt? Does he have? I don't think he has any sort of history of injuries.
Does he have any history of living somewhere where he has to take stairs to get to and from it? Because I'm concerned about that too.
Yeah. So I don't think, and I'm sure this guy playing at Wake Forest, he probably got hit a few times. It's not like you had the best two offensive tackles in the country blocking for you. So he's probably going to be upright more this year than he's ever been. So I'm not worried about Hartman. It would have to be a freak injury, which of course Notre Dame quarterbacks seem to get those a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about Hartman on an injury front unless it's something crazy. So I don't think he's going to be a problem. And I think this offense is going to score points because he throws the ball on target. The guy he sees the field and he throws the ball on target. That's all you need your quarterback to do.
I don't think, Pat, tell me if you believe this. I believe we are so used to seeing quarterbacks that aren't up to the level of efficiency with certain things that even just his basic proficiency level is going to put this offense in a way better position. It doesn't even have to be a Heisman level for me to go, wow, this looks way, way better. He does not have to be Caleb Williams to make this look like real offense. People aren't getting that. People don't realize how low the bar has been.
Yeah, and I appreciate all the people saying, Heisman quarterback. He doesn't need to be a Heisman quarterback to Notre Dame win football games. He's what it kind of reminds me of is Jimmy Clausen, but if it was Jimmy Clausen running Brian Kelly's offense, because that's what this is. And I remember watching Notre Dame in that first year with my dad in Kelly's first season, and my dad leaned over and said to me, he goes, "Can you imagine how good this team would be if they had a guy like Clausen who knew how to throw the football?" And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. That's what Notre Dame. That's what for the last 15 years, Notre Dame has never had an accurate quarterback.
Yeah,
Ian Book was accurate for one season, and then he diminished every season following. Yep. So Notre Dame has never had an accurate quarterback. So if this guy comes on the field and he's an accurate quarterback, it'll be such a breath of fresh air. And you'll see things that you haven't seen that you're going to completely forget about the last 15 years of such a quarterback.
Yep. And so that's where I've been falling is up people that are like, oh, he's not a Heisman level, blah, 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 tone it. He does not have to be at that level for the offense to take a huge jump in a lot of areas. Okay, a huge jump. And then that puts me in the position to say that's why I'm more worried about what the defense could do, because I'm fairly confident I'm going to like what I see out of that offense. And if I don't, then we have a whole different batch of problems and questions. If it doesn't go right, then I got a whole different batch of concerns. But I'm more.
When we stood there, John, in the rain, the sun, the sleet, the snow, at the spring game, you, Adam, and I, and I just turned and I said, that's it. I've seen all I need to see.
Yeah.
This guy is the guy. He throws the ball. It's on target. I don't know why people knock his size. He's perfectly big. He's got he's not 6'4", but not every quarterback is 6'4". He's bigger than Drew Brees. So he's fine. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to have a great season. It's all about the defense for me. It's 100% about the defense for me. And I just don't know what Freeman sees. I don't know what Freeman has.
Yeah.
Like when he pulls a running back out of the transfer portal after Logan Diggs leaves, and I'm thinking, okay, that to me was a loss. This is where the first time I say, if you had to pull a running back in, and because of that, and John, you might be right because the other kids' rehab might not be going well. But that was a net loss then, if that was the concern. And I've been saying Low Diggs shouldn't have been a concern because of what this running back room should look like. But them getting a running back makes me concerned.
Yeah, because you're right. Because then it kind of indicates to you the coaches felt that they had a vulnerability there, and then that's kind of what you're saying. Yeah. I get
and
that.
We expected a vulnerability at safety. And I think there's a big vulnerability at defensive line, and I just don't understand. And I guess it's harder to find, 300-pound guys who can rush the passer in the transfer portal with college degrees.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I could imagine. All right, Pat, I'm gonna get one more call in. I'm gonna head over to Indiana, finalize a deal, and we'll break some news the next couple days, bud.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, what's up for Saturday?
Haven't even thought about it yet. We can go live Saturday if you're available.
Yeah, I think I am.
All right. If you are, let's get back into the groove. We'll do it if you're available. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. I'll talk to you. Thanks for calling, Pat. Oh, hey, good job on that golf round. Congratulations, bud.
Yeah. Hey, John, I played 9 this morning. I shot a 51.
There, back to your old ways. You should have quit. You should have retired. You should have freaking quit. You hit a good low score. You should have been done. Look at you wanting more. You got greedy and the game humbled you. That's golf.
I did. I did. Well,
you were swagging up to the tee too. Oh, I'm feeling myself. Yeah. How long did that last? Welcome to golf, the ultimate humbler. All right, Pat.
All right,
See you later. Bye. Oh, that's a riot. All right, last call of the day, 720. What do you know?
John?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, bring the Sandy out here in Colorado again.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, the only conference that makes sense in my mind, from a competition standpoint for Notre Dame to join, if they are forced to join, is the SEC. Realistically, you're starting to see pull kids out of Texas, the Carolinas. It doesn't make sense to stay in the Big Ten. The recruiting's not there. I mean, you got one 5-star defensive tackle coming out of Chicago in how many years?
All right. So wait. Let's break this down. Okay. So how much of this can we base on recruiting hotbeds? Like, I get making that a consideration, but even if we're playing teams in that area, what makes you think we're going to land more guys down there when they're all doing bagmen stuff and we're being nerds? How is that going to level out just because we're in that conference? I don't understand that part of it. How is that going to change?
I got you. Let me explain. So, from a competition standpoint, you get out of the SEC, you make that playoff, you're going to win that game, that first one. Maybe not that second one, but you go to Big Ten, you're probably going to. You get out, you might, but you're not going to the championship game. Kids are going to winning programs and teams that are going to put players in the NFL. Not that the Big Ten doesn't, but they're second tier. You want to be the best, you got to play with the best on a consistent level. Look, coaching high school football, we dict our conference every year, and then we struggle in the playoffs because we don't play that competition every week.
All right, so let me ask this. What about the academics? That's one reason they did the partial thing with the ACCs, because all that research and the academics they were doing lined up, and they liked that. I don't know all that goes into that or how real that is or not, but it's something I've heard over and over again of why they chose the ACC as a partial partner and would be interested in the Big Ten. I don't know what you make of that part of it either. I don't know one way or another.
Well, I think Texas A&M is a great school. Vanderbilt's a great school. And I know they're not Notre Dame, but, Texas A&M, I got a lot of buddies that are engineers that went to Texas A&M. And they're competing, right? Yeah. Like, those kids, it's not the same. Here's what I know. Like, just how kids have weeded themselves out, right? The kids that want to play in high school are better students than they were 20 years ago. That's what I've seen. And the kids that want to play in college, typically, not all, are better students. Then Notre Dame is they're not losing recruits based on just the academics, maybe some, but a lot of it is money and where the location is. Hey, if you could tell a kid, hey, we're going to play Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, you're going to, a couple weeks out of the year, you're not going to be that far away from home. Your family can come play, come watch. We're going to, because I guarantee Clemson and Florida State and Miami, they're not going to the Big Ten if they switch conferences. They're going to the SEC.
Yeah, and wouldn't that make sense? That makes a lot of sense for where they're located. That makes perfect sense.
And Duke would go to the SEC if they got a chance. Because the other thing is, if Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten, they got to bring back wrestling.
Yeah. All right. Now let me ask this. This is a good point. The Ohio podcast brought it up. Going to the SEC makes zero sense for you guys, my friend. You can't beat them, so join them. So, like, there's an angle in there, too, when you said, like, if you make the playoff coming out of the SEC, you kind of proved your mettle because we acknowledge that's a very physical, tough conference to navigate through. And then what if you don't? Then you're in the SEC, but you never make it even in the new playoff because you're following the rules and making guys get good grades and they're not. Like, I could see that backfiring.
I could, but let me ask you this. How many, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't pay attention. Do you ever hear about Alabama and Georgia kids getting in trouble like the old days?
Well, no, I don't. And I'm not certain whether it means it isn't going on or it's being handled very, very well behind the scenes, because there's a lot of that all over the country. And even sometimes in South Bend, Indiana, there's still some of that goes on. It's like, oh, this guy broke his hand in practice. And then John's told, no, he punched a guy in the face at a party. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. You don't know. There's a lot of that.
I get it. But,
yeah.
But I think the kids at that level that are elite, and they're becoming more elite. They didn't lose Keon Keeley because of academics. You know?
Yeah.
They lost Keon Keeley for other reasons. And
yeah.
To me, it's like,
man, that's why that hurts so much. That's why that hurts so much. When you got the top end guys that also have the good grades and Notre Dame doesn't get them, that hurts a lot, man. That it really does.
I think you got more of a shot at keeping Keon if you're in the SEC, and probably Dante Moore. I mean, Dante, I heard his parents were involved in that, and that's really too bad. But hey,
so
you can look at those two and say,
let me ask this. What do you think the reason is that when this all gets brought up, the SEC isn't really talked about as being a real option? I just haven't heard really many people bring that up as a viable path. Why do you think that would be?
Because the Big Ten needs Notre Dame. The Big Ten, you think about the branding Notre Dame brings to the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
And the Big Ten.
But do they really need them? Do they really need them? They might want them, but do they really need it? It's not exactly like the profile that conference is hurting when you have Ohio State and Michigan as the flag holders. Like, I mean, I don't think they need them, but it would add to the. It would definitely add to it.
Bottom half of that Big Ten, Purdue, Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, like you can just go down the list. It's like Big Ten needs Notre Dame, not just for football though, for hockey, lacrosse, baseball, basketball, because some of those other schools are like, I would say like Purdue and some of those other like Minnesota, they bring down the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Unless it's like wrestling for Minnesota. And like that's the truth. So the Big Ten, not just for football, basketball, they need Notre Dame. They need them for lacrosse now too, probably. I don't know anything about lacrosse, but I'm guessing like they're looking at Notre Dame as an overall package saying, hey, they elevate every sport. Where the SEC, it's like,
yeah, but I would say want.
Jewel, baby.
But I'm gonna defend the Big Ten on this. I'm gonna say maybe want, or maybe would like to have, would be a nice feather in the cap to raise the profile. But they're doing just fine the way I don't want to say they need it, but if it was between us joining the ACC, the SEC, or the Big Ten, then they would want it. They would want it. And the profile and the location, man, you're right there in the middle of all of that Midwest. And then you go Northeast and you got Big Ten country, and you go to LA, then you have Big Ten country. Like that location being in the Midwestern cluster, and that's a part of this too. I don't know, man. It's just why haven't I heard this brought up more? That's what I want to know.
I think here's the thing. I don't think you can let fear dictate your schedule. Like you're Notre Dame, and part of this is scheme. You're gonna have to adjust and play more option football a little bit, but you can beat those teams. You can develop kids. You're still gonna send kids to the NFL, but you're gonna have to strap it on and say, all right, can I cuss?
Sure, go for it.
All right, motherfuckers, let's do this shit because it's time to go.
Yeah.
And that's we can't dance around it. Like, and I like the opening game you guys were talking about. I'm pissed. Like, let's get someone ready to play Ohio State. Are we really bringing in a D1 AA school that's not North Dakota State? Like,
yeah,
that's the only D1 AA school you should be bringing in when you got Ohio State 4 weeks later. If not, go bring in Nebraska. Go bring someone that plays similar to Ohio State. Go get another SEC school. Go get a Kentucky. You need to
yeah.
I know it's first game of the season, but it's like, hey, let's see what we got. And I think with like the Logan Diggs thing, him moving out, I mean, it was a bummer, but I think everyone's like looking at Sam Hartman going, Sam Hartman healthy. I'm more worried about Joe Alt, Audric Estime, and Blake Fisher staying healthy. Like,
yep, and you need all those guys for sure. You need all those guys. Yeah, Estime's the big one too. He's got it, and He usually stays in shape and bounces off everybody.
Yeah.
I need that to continue. Yeah, for sure.
Estime's the best. And could you imagine Estime running behind when we had McGlinchey and those guys blocking?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Estime's the best running back we've had since probably Bettis.
Yeah, he's fun to watch, and he looks like him too. But I don't know, man. This is interesting, and I want to know. I just haven't heard the SEC brought up as a viable option the way I have with it used to be the ACC before everybody realized this TV deal was going to kill them, and then the Big Ten. So I don't know, man. But all right, I got to get running, man. Anything else to finish up on? What do you got?
Hey, no, I'm excited. I think this is Notre Dame's best chance to win a national championship until Carr's probably a junior. They got to close on some of these defensive tackles. I'm not happy about losing Owen Waffle, whatever his name was. Sorry.
Yeah, Waffle House. Hey, call him the Waffle House. Yeah.
The Waffle House. Yeah. I was really excited about that kid. And in fact, someone that watches a lot of tape and, I mean, scouts, played coach football, I'm actually really bummed because the other kid they're looking at, I'm like, that's not even if I'm coaching, Waffle is like the kid, right? That I want. He's big, fast.
Yeah,
you can tell he works out, keeps in shape.
I've heard weird things on that, and I don't know if it's just Notre Dame fans trying to make themselves feel better, but I heard there was something with the coaches involved with that, him backing off. I don't know whether that's real or not. That could just be our fans not wanting to feel the pain, so they're making up a reason to make it seem like it was from our end. So I don't know that.
One last point, and I'll let you go. And this is probably unpopular. We got to get rid of Al Golden.
I don't think that's that controversial. A lot of people were thinking you either needed to stay in the NFL or maybe just retire. This is a big year. The two Al's are on the clock, Washington and Golden. They are the two I'm looking at, and they need to perform. I agree with you. This is a big year for both Al's, in my opinion. Big year.
Al is, and I like just someone that coaches football. He's not hard to beat. He blitzes every.
Yeah.
That is the most frustrating thing to watch. He actually, Lufau, the one linebacker, he retracted under him. That kid's a first round talent.
Yeah.
And
it was rough.
Holding it.
Screwing
him up.
The timing was off. He was in his head. He was a half second late to react or to be where he needs it. It all seemed just off enough to not make plays work all year. That's how it felt to me.
And he cost Isaiah Foskey. Isaiah fell because of him. That's my opinion. And I know that sounds dumb, but
that's rough.
There's no way Marshall. We hold Ohio State to 20-some points, and then you're going to let Marshall score 17. Never should have happened.
Yeah, they need to clean some things up there. They need to clean some things up. Al's got all that tape and film. He needs to change some of this, and I think some little tweaks, and it could get a lot better, but I need to see it. Both Al's are on the clock. Hey, I really appreciate the call. Good to connect back with you. We'll be live Friday, and we'll do a Saturday night as well.
I'll be here. Hey, you're invited to Colorado to come watch us win the state championship, Green Mountain High School this year, John.
There you go. I appreciate that. Thanks for the invite, man. I haven't been to Colorado in a long time. It's nice out there. Thanks for the call, man.
Well, I love the show. Love the fans. These guys are great people out here. Take care, man.
Take care. Have a good one. All right. Mike, $5 outlet. John saw the flick air. More convinced pairing with Jordan's brand would be huge. Great with great is always smart, and the gear would be sweet. I think that too. People just don't like it because it's what Michigan has. All right. I'm out of here. I'm heading across state lines to Indiana. Hopefully in the next day or two, I'll drop some news here you guys will like, and something going on here with this show and Notre Dame. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to change into a collared shirt and head across the border. News coming. See ya.